Hello and welcome to Piano Shack with me, Woody. This here, if we switch it on, is the OPZ, a little grey box. I bought it for myself as a Christmas present, and I have to say, this is one of the most fun and inspiring musical instruments I've ever bought, and definitely the best groove box that I've ever used. In this video, I'm going to tell you why, and towards the end, I'll play you some of the tracks that I've made on this. I am not a teenage engineering fanboy by any means. I have one of these and I will be roasting this in an upcoming video. This is the OP1, which for me is absolutely useless and everything I make on it sounds like garbage. But this is a different kettle of fish. But I will play this for you towards the end of the video so you can judge for yourselves how good you think it sounds and some of the patterns that I've put together. But why do I like this so much? Well, the first thing is the price. It's not stupidly priced like a lot of teenage engineering stuff. I bought this brand new for $400, which is still a lot for a tiny little grey box about the size of a TV remote control. I don't have one here at the moment to show you for scale. Just a sec. Strange, you can never find a remote control when you want it, but I found a phone for you to give you an idea of the scale. Yeah, $400 doesn't seem too bad considering teenage engineering's other devices. The new OP1, OPXY are over a couple of $1,000. This seems okay. The size is really good. You can actually put this one in your pocket if you have baggy cargo pants. Runs on batteries. Battery life is great, about 6 hours. It's got a built-in microphone for the sampler, more on that later, and a little built-in loudspeaker, which is useless. It sounds terrible, but it's okay actually for just learning the workflow. Unlike the OP1, I think the sounds on this are actually quite decent. There are more synthesizer engines with more useful parameters. You can actually tweak the filter and the resonance on here, which for me is the most important parameters of them all. You can't on the OP1, you have to use effects to do that. Talking of effects, the effects are much improved on this as well over the OP1 with some nice sounding stereo reverbs, delays and lots of other good stuff. It actually sounds really nice. This is a 4-track machine. This one has 8 tracks. Another thing is the workflow is completely different. This is a audio looper, basically. It's like a 4-track looper pedal, whereas this one is a proper MIDI sequencer with built-in sound engines, lots of them, and a sampler. On this one, we have 8 different tracks. You've got the bass, snare, hi-hats, percussion, bass, lead, arpeggiator, and chord track. All of them have their own samples and sounds. They sound really great, and that's more than enough tracks. Polyphony hasn't been an issue either. I think the chord track lets you have 4-note poly, which is fine for something like this. The killer feature, of course, is the sequencer, and wow, what a beast this thing is. Although you only get 16 steps that you can access, you can spread those out over 2, 4 or 8 bars or measures. You can actually record 8-bar patterns unquantized and then quantize them if you like. The only drawback is you don't get access to these steps to be able to mess around with these step components that I'll talk about later. We'll talk about it now. For every single step you can access, you can add step components. You maybe have a 1-bar drum pattern, but you can trigger some of the steps to activate every 4 bars, for example, or every 3 bars to get some nice polymetric, polyrhythms things going on. I've only scratched the surface of what this can do. I have used a few of these step components, but you can put triggers on all of the steps and get really interesting MIDI effects. There you go. There's another close-up of it if this product showcase mode will actually work. So the other thing that I really like about this is the design of the workflow. Somebody at Teenage Engineering has made some brilliant decisions and choices on how this thing actually operates. Now, many of you might be put off, as I was a little bit, by the lack of a screen here. And If you watch some of the tutorials by guys like Cuckoo, red means recording, you'll see that you do need to learn an awful lot of combinations of button presses, shifts, track, holding down 2 or 3 keys at the same time to get anything done on this. But once you've learned those combos, this thing is blazingly fast to operate and it never gets tedious or annoying to use. It's a joy to use, in fact. But it will take you a little time to learn the moves. But in my experience, I sat down with the Teenage Engineering Manual. I watched a few tutorials in advance, so I knew the basics. And I think after 4 hours, I was getting the basics down. 8 hours, I was getting pretty fast on this thing. I mean, compare it to any other instrument. If you're going to be learning how to play the saxophone or a flute, you're going to be spending months to get it down. So just 8 hours on this thing is not much in comparison. You can even connect this to your telephone with Bluetooth, download an app from Teenage Engineering and have your telephone work as a screen. I used that mode once for about 5 minutes, but I think the joy of this thing is not having a screen at all and not having to stare at an LCD. And it really isn't that hard to use. It's pretty logical the way they've designed this. So it doesn't take long at all to get the moves down. And once you have them in your muscle memory and in your brain, it's really, really fast to get stuff done, like clearing patterns, copying patterns, moving tracks around, adding notes. It's so quick. It's really nice. Okay, but I haven't really scratched the surface. Well, I would say actually I'm pretty much about 60% into learning all the features on this thing. There is still the master track where you can transpose a pattern in interesting ways and sequence those transposition changes as well. There's the tape track that I haven't really figured out how to use it effectively. We've got the punch-in effects, which I'll demonstrate for you. But all that can be sequenced as well. You can add really interesting beat repeats, fills, randomizations to your patterns so they never get stale. It's absolutely awesome. Yes, that's the great thing about this. You program in a pattern and then you're able to change things on the fly so it never gets repetitive, boring and annoying. Another thing I've tested but not really used musically is the sampler. You can connect this to your PC via USB, sample direct from your computer into the device. So anything you have on your computer can be sampled. There's a microphone that you can sing into or make interesting noises with something and capture them here, lay it across over a drum kit. By the way, the drum kits on this sound so good. So I've still got a lot of things to learn. But what do I not like about this? There are a few things. The first thing is the well-known, well-documented banana gate. These rarely stay flat and straight, but tend to bend down, sag in the middle. You might think that's when you're putting it on a surface and playing it in the middle. You can see there's 4 little raised feet, that the pressure of that would make it bend down in the middle. Apparently that's not just the case. It's not the case, it's the plastic that they use. There's a kind of composite fiberglass plastic and that just warps. It just warps, it's gonna bend. This one is, put it on my glass table, bent out of the box, brand new, it's bent. I don't really care because I play it in my hands like this. I never have it down on a flat surface. The other thing then, talking about playing it in your hands, the other thing I really don't like, it's extremely uncomfortable. Some of the angles on this thing, the corners in particular, are so sharp. I wish they'd have rounded off the corners a little bit so it was actually comfortable to hold, but these corners really do dig into the flesh on your fingers and hands. The build quality of this is also somewhat questionable. Mine is okay, apart from being bent, but people complain that the volume knob there falls off, the encoders pop out. I mean, it's a relatively cheap device, but for $400, I would expect more. I'm not impressed with Teenage Engineering's quality control, judging from what I've seen on the internet. Okay, I'm going to connect this to the computer here. We can record over USB and I'll play you one of the tracks I've put together. I've had this now for less than 1 week. I got it for Christmas, as I said, I bought it for myself. During that time, This was the only musical device really available to me because we had lots of guests and I was traveling and so on. But I took this with me and I put down 8 songs. I recorded 8 songs. I hesitate to call them songs. It's just a 4 or an 8 bar loop that's repeating with some variations. But I'll play one of them for you. Shall I play the first one I did or the last one? I think I'm going to share with you the last track that I created because I think it came out pretty cool, but you can be the judge. So let's get this connected and then I'll, yeah, take a listen. Oh, before we do that, there is one thing I need to fix. Just bear with me a second. Yeah, this is good. This is what we need. So we're making some beats here. So I need my, I need my hip hop hat. I might as well take this opportunity to sign off the video. I'll play you out, but thanks very much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me and it takes me a lot of time and effort to make these videos. Until next time, thanks for watching. Cheerio.